Hey everybody, how you doing? Kenny Kizzle here, and I figured I'd give you guys a quick update on kind of what I've been doing around here. The H is pretty much still at a standstill. Domino's still working on finishing up his shop. The sheetrock is up. I believe I haven't talked to him much about it the last week or so, but I believe he still needs to get it taped and mudded, and then finish up the electrical, do the painting, and then it's ready to put back together as far as all of his equipment and tools and whatnot. But so that's where that's at. I kind of mocked up, I know a lot of you have seen the photo I put up on the community page on the channel, but I kind of mocked up the tin work on it, and I did notice that the packing nut for the front of the water pump here is seeping just a little bit, so we'll have to get at that and give it a couple more turns to tighten it up and stop that leak. Other than that, everything is working well. I haven't really ran it since the last video that I made where we drive it around a little bit, and I've gotten a few comments on the rear end and the whining or the gear and bearing noise. Well, it's mostly gear noise, it's not bearing noise, but the gear noise that it's making. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and I did a little bit when we were putting it together, but because we had to basically start from scratch on this thing, it's gonna make some noise before the gears run into each other and create a new wear pattern. So hopefully as time goes on and the more we drive it and work it, those gears will create a new wear pattern and everything should quiet down. But if it doesn't, we can always open it back up. So that's where the H is at. I'll do a quick walk around of what I've been doing around the house. Let me flip my microphone around. So basically, all of this landscaping all the way around the house, I dug out all of the rock that was in here because I want to replace it with mulch. So all of this has been all dug out all the way around here. I've got landscaping down here, all the way around the back here. Some of this already had mulch in it, so I didn't have to dig all of it, but all the way basically where you see all this sand, all of this has been dug out, and it took me a good 6 or 7 hours to get all of this rock out of here. And also, I did order, finally, the birthday present that I had been wanting for a long time. We've got Old Glory ready to go, hung up. So that is a essential addition for our house. And one thing you guys will probably remember from years ago when we first moved in here, like wasn't that long ago, it was only 3 years, but this grove of trees here was filled with buckthorn and overgrowth. I mean, you couldn't see through these trees up to about 6-8 feet high. So I had spent the last couple of years cleaning this out, planted grass seed in here, which is coming in really well. And then this whole area down here, I'll show you a before picture. And now you guys can kind of see where we're at with this. I spent some time planting grass seed. If you've seen the 1941 Case SC and the yard work video that was posted over the summer, that was this area. So effectively I've pretty much doubled the size of our backyard, and I think keeping the grass alive underneath these big oaks is going to be a challenge, because these oaks tend to make the soil pretty acidic. So we'll see what happens, but it grew in really nice, and I'll probably have to overseed it here come springtime, but it's been a really surprisingly worthwhile project, because we got a lot of extra backyard room now. And if you remember here, there was a big brush pile that was probably the size of 2 of the Farm All M's. You know, it was probably at least 8 feet high, and I'd have to say 15 to 20 feet in diameter. So I finally burned that down and got rid of that. So that's pretty much what's been going on the last few weeks. I haven't really done much with tractors. So let's see. I've gotten this question quite a bit throughout the years, and it came up again recently on how I time a Magneto to a tractor, or install a Magneto on a tractor. Let's go up to the garage and I'll talk about that for a little bit. Okay, so installing a Magneto on a tractor. A lot of people overcomplicate this. On a 2-cylinder John Deere, it's really easy. I'll put a link in the description below, but Rudy does a great video on a how-to for installing the mag on a 2-cylinder John Deere tractor. But we're going to talk about a 4-cylinder tractor, or even a 6-cylinder tractor. Now, there's a lot of things in the manuals that say, you know, you have to follow a specific sequence, and for the most part that's true, but it really isn't that complicating. The number one thing you want to do is get one of the 4 or 6 cylinders on top dead center of the compression stroke. As soon as you got that done, you can literally bolt the Magneto on, and you got a 1 in 4 or a 1 in 6 chance of getting it right the first time, because from that point, all you really need to know is where your rotor is pointing, to what terminal your rotor is pointing to inside the Magneto, and then whatever cylinder is on top dead center of compression stroke, just put that first wire wherever the rotor's pointing to the cylinder that's on top dead center, and from that point you just follow the firing order. So let's say, the way I do it is I always set up so cylinder number 1 is on top dead center of the compression stroke. Okay, now the cap on the Magneto usually is numbered as far as where the number 1 terminal is, but really that doesn't matter. Most often it is the top right terminal, so the upper right post, that is labeled number 1. So we'll just say, if this wasn't labeled, that let's just say that the rotor is pointed to the number 1 terminal, or this terminal here. So we're going to take that wire and we're going to run it to the number 1 cylinder, because that's the one that's next to fire, and the mag is already set up and ready to fire on number 1. From there, we would just go in sequence. So our firing order is 1, 3, 4, 2. So 1, 3, 4, 2. So this is number 1. That one's already set up to go. The next one in the sequence is 3. So that one's here. The next one in the sequence is 4. That one goes here. and the next one, the last one, is 2, so that one would run here. So you could literally bolt a Magneto on and have no idea, how do I want to say this? You could bolt it on blindly and pull the cap off, figure out which cylinder is on top dead center of compression, and the easiest way to do that is to pull the spark plugs and crank it over, and you'll feel, if you put your thumb over the spark plug hole, you'll feel which one hits on compression. So the way I like to do it is I'll pull the valve cover off, because I'm usually by myself, and then I'll hand crank it and I'll watch the valves. You know, the intake valve will open as the piston comes down, draws air and fuel in, and then as it reaches the bottom, the valve closes and the piston comes then up, and once it hits the highest point on the stroke, that's top dead center, that's where I set it up. So from there I could literally bolt the mag on, or you could do it with the mag on. You can then just pull the cap off your mag, figure out where your rotor is at, and start with that cylinder, run the wire to wherever the rotor on the mag is pointing, and then just follow your firing order. Now, there is some adjustment as far as advancing and retarding the timing on these mags, but it's very minuscule. So the best way to do it is to install the mag with the top of the mag turned all the way towards the engine. So that's fully retarded. From there, I'll usually crank the engine over a couple revolutions by hand and get it back on top dead center of another, whichever cylinder, and then slowly I keep these bolts for the mag loose, but not too loose enough to the point where I can rotate this by hand. So once whatever cylinder is on top dead center and positioned there, then I'll rotate the mag slowly outwards or advance the timing on the mag until I hear the impulse snap, and I stop right there and tighten everything down. Because at that point, that's kind of the sweet spot if you're hand cranking the tractor to where it won't kick back on you. So that's really all there is to it. You know, the manuals, they lay everything out in a very detailed step-by-step process, but it really isn't that complicating. Like I said, you can bolt the Magneto on the tractor on a 4 or 6 cylinder, and you have a 1 in 4 shot. If you just threw the wires on in whatever order following the firing order, you have a 1 in 4 shot of getting it right. So and if it doesn't work the first time, you guys have seen plenty of my videos where I've installed these mags and I get it 180 degrees out of time, or 90 degrees forward, or 90 degrees back. It's just a matter of moving plug wires around. You don't have to unbolt things and figure out where you're at. It's really unnecessary. You know, if you're getting a lot of backfiring, chances are you're 180 off, so you would switch plug wires, let's see, 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. So that would put you 180 degrees the other way. Now if you were 90 degrees off, you basically would rotate each one of your wires backwards 90 degrees or rotate them forwards 90 degrees, whichever way you're off. So it's not complicating at all. A lot of people get kind of hell-bent on, you know, that upper right terminal has to be the number 1 terminal. Well, no, it doesn't. It's going to deliver spark from whatever terminal at whatever time to whatever cylinder you have it wired to. So, you know, it's really not that complicating. But I tend to get things more screwed up when I try to follow the manual sequence. So I just have better luck bolting the mag on, getting a cylinder on top dead center. I typically start with number 1, get it on top dead center of compression stroke, and then look where my rotor's pointing. for example, if we pull the cap off the mag, right now our rotor is pointing to the bottom right terminal. So I would wire this bottom right terminal to the number 1 cylinder, and then follow my firing order on the back of the mag with the wires from there, and it should start right up. So that's all I've got to really touch on as far as timing a Magneto to a tractor. If you start pulling these mags apart and messing with the internal timing gears, then you're really going to be off. So you'll have a very hard time getting anything right if you start doing that. But yeah, that's really all I've got. I don't really have much else to say. This was just kind of an update video, and then I've always had a lot of questions on the timing of a Magneto on a tractor. And 2-cylinder John Deeres are even easier because you only have 2 cylinders. So if it doesn't fire, or if it backfires with the wires one way, well, then just flip the 2 wires and it should start right up. So, but again, I'll put a link to Rudy's video that talks about that. So yeah, I don't know, everything's going okay around here. It's just, well, everything's going okay. Everybody's healthy, and mama and baby are doing just fine. So my wife does have to have gallbladder surgery coming up here, but it's not really an emergency type of surgery. It's just something that she needs to get done, and it terrifies me because when she had surgery last, it was when we had our daughter, and it was a very, very negative and horrific experience. But so yeah, that kind of worries me there, but everything I'm sure will be just fine. And you guys could say a prayer for our family and for my wife for her upcoming surgery, it would be greatly appreciated. And oh, one last thing, the GoFundMe for the H project, I have found, or I received an email from GoFundMe saying that they will be shutting the fundraiser down because it's reached the maximum time frame. So if I wanted to open a new fundraiser, I can, but at this point we're kind of in the final stages, and I really don't think it's necessary to start another GoFundMe. What I will say is if people feel inclined to donate, just go right to the SAVE organization's website. It's save.org. It's Suicide Awareness Voices of Education. And if you feel inclined, please, donate. It's a great cause. They use the funds for a lot of great things. So, and I really appreciate everybody, for what they've done throughout this project, and what they've given, whether it's parts or time and labor, or money they've donated to the GoFundMe. It's all very, very much appreciated. And we've got a couple of extra very nice things that are coming, that another viewer has made. His name is Dave, and they're very, very nice pieces, and it'll really tie this project together nicely. But anyways, that's all I've got. So I wanted to give you guys a nice update and show you what I've been doing around the house here, and yeah, I really don't have much else for you. So as always, thanks for watching, and thanks for walking around the compound with me. But you guys take care, and we'll see you later. So hopefully it won't be too long before the next video. Thanks, guys.